Hello, and welcome to the Illinois Drifter Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Kahn. Thank you for joining me. If you're already familiar with the Illinois Drifter Substack, this is really just more of the same, an extension of that. I wanted to experiment with some new ways of bringing this project to people, and this is a medium that I'm somewhat comfortable with. If you're not familiar with Illinois Drifter, this is something I started probably a little over 2 years ago, really with the goal of celebrating my love of music. I really wasn't quite sure, what it was or what it looked like, but I just knew that I loved to write and love music, so I thought I would combine the two. And Substack was a pretty neat way to give me that opportunity. And so I've written about a lot over the last 2 years, a lot of shows I've been to, new music that I'm listening to, old music that I love, books about music, and really just a variety of things. I've done even some features on musicians and other music fans that I'm pretty proud of. So, it was really something that I was, enjoying and getting a lot of, great feedback with, but just kind of felt like this would be maybe a way to get in front of more people, get in their ears and in addition to their eyes, and just kind of try to expand my horizons with it. So really, that's the goal here. I still love writing. We'll still be doing a lot of writing, but we honestly planning on doing a lot more podcasting. We'll be doing, pretty much show reviews from here on in. I want to do podcasts unless, something strikes me where I decide I want to write it instead. We'll kind of just play it by ear on that. But definitely interviews. I want to do a lot of interviews. I think podcast is a really great medium to do interviews on. So I'll be doing a lot of that. And so now that the intros are out of the way, let's get to it. First episode, I want to come in with a bang, and we'll be talking about the first show I attended in 2026, which was the Steepwater Band. Seen the Steepwater Band a lot of times, written about the Steepwater Band a lot. If you've followed the Substack at all, you're very familiar with that. But this was though a venue I had not seen the Steepwater Band at, and also an opening act that they have a lot of history with, but I hadn't seen before. So it really made for a cool night. And I thought, for the first show, instead of just me talking about it, I thought bringing a couple of really cool guests to really help set the picture of the night.
Cool.
All right, now I want to welcome to the show, to the Illinois Drifter Podcast, very first guests, fittingly, the band we're talking about, the Steepwater Band, singer, guitarist Jeff Massey, and drummer Joe Winters. Guys, thanks for coming on.
What's up, man? What's going on, Justin?
Hey, Justin, what's happening? Thanks for having us.
So the show that we're talking about tonight is the first show that I saw in 2026. It was January 10th, a great Saturday night show at Leroy's Hot Stuff in Porter, Indiana. My first time at the venue, but I know you guys are definitely not your first time there. Veterans of that place, played a lot of shows there. Kind of run me through your history at that. What is a really cool, kind of just an old school roadhouse vibe type place.
Yeah, Leroy is a longtime friend of ours, the owner of Leroy's, obviously, and it's one of the it's a local show for us, and it's one of those places that we've decided that we would continue to play, once or twice a year, because the shows are great there. It's like, like I said, it's local for us. So a lot of friends, a lot of people always come to that gig. It's always fun. It's got, like you said, the great roadhouse vibe in there. It's got a lot of history, like Lonnie Brooks and Ronnie Brooks used to play in there, Tinsley Ellis, Joanna Connor, all kinds of touring blues acts. Nowadays, he doesn't have a whole lot of touring acts, but he still has a lot of local live music in there. So, for us, considering that local, we play there twice a year, and it's always a blast. And when our band first started, that was one of the first gigs we had was Leroy's. We would actually, just set up in there. And the joke is if people showed up, it was a gig. And if they didn't show up, it was a rehearsal. And that's, we would go in there on a Sunday and jam. And if nobody was in there, we were just starting our band, like, oh, cool rehearsal, and just kind of took off from there, and we've kept it around.
Joe, you have any early memories? How kind of like first started at Leroy's? What was kind of like there at that time, and how it is it pretty similar to the way it's always been?
Yeah. We used to go in there and they would have a open mic night and we would go in there and our friends the Kinsey Report, a legendary blues family from Gary, Indiana, they would host the open mic and they took a liking to us and would get us up to play at Steepwater. And Leroy, eventually we caught Leroy's attention. And yeah, I mean, we used to just go in there and have some good old fashioned barn burner blues jams in there. And it's always just been like that, beer and a shot and some good old fashioned rock and roll and blues. And like you guys said, it's kind of a roadhouse and it's kind of off the beaten path. It's down Route 20 off of the expressway out there in Porter, Indiana. And I think when people discover it, like such as yourself coming there for the first time last Saturday, people are pleasantly surprised that you're not really sure what you're going to get going in there. You would think maybe you might get beat up by some bikers or something, but people are super friendly and yeah, and we've always had good vibes, good welcoming kind of vibes in that place. So it's a good kind of local uh haunt for us when we're off the road to go in there a couple times a year and play a gig.
You guys have a few places like that, sort of like mostly you're not playing a lot of local stuff anymore, but you have Reggie's and Austin's, a couple of different places like that, and they all sort of have that similar vibe to them, that kind of sort of a welcoming, cool, just a kind of a cool hangout type place.
Yeah, Austin, our buddy Phil Pinozzo owns Austin Community Tavern, and yeah, really homey. Everybody's cool. That's another place Phil's doing. Phil's doing like touring bands in there, and like a lot of original music and a lot of different stuff, which is really cool because you don't want to take that for granted nowadays. Places opening and staying open like that, and then of course our buddy Robbie and Reggie's in Chicago. Reggie's has kind of become kind of legendary over the last 10 years, right? Because I mean, total another hometown vibe for us. We always have great shows in there, but I mean, Reggie's is one of those places where you could catch a metal band, a punk band, a blues band, a country band. There's three different rooms in there, and it's still open and still thriving. And yeah, so those three rooms we would consider them, really cool local places for us to play. And Fitzgerald's would be another one, historic place in Chicago. But those are, martyrs maybe on the north side. But besides that, yeah, we're on the road most of the time. So yeah, those would be our local jaunts.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool when you're on the road a lot to kind of come back to a friendly place, and that crowd that night was a hot crowd. People were up and dancing and
Yeah.
really into the show.
Yeah, yeah. Especially when you like get back from Europe or something. Like when we got back from Europe, we played at Reggie's right away, and then even coming back to Leroy's. It's always cool to come home and play a hometown gig after you've been out on a big tour or something.
Now, another thing about this show that was a first for me was your opener, Nomad Planets, who was a band that I knew of them. I of course knew Chris Grove, who plays with you guys often, but I
Yes.
wasn't real familiar with the band. I kind of dug into them quite a bit the week before and really like them a lot. They're different than you guys, kind of a cool match with
Yeah.
the different sort of contrasting styles. And you guys really have a history with those guys going way back. Kind of run me through that.
I'll let Joe handle that one.
Well, in the early 90s, our original bass player Todd and I had a band called Mad World that was playing a lot of gigs around Chicago, and we would go to a print shop to get our flyers and posters for our band made. And the guy working in the print shop was Mark Mybeck, the singer from Nomad Planets. And at the time, he seemed really curious about like our gigs and what we were doing musically, and always asking us questions. And after a year or two of going in there, we started thinking, man, this guy seems too curious this guy must play music or something. And then he let the cat out of the bag that he wrote songs and was kind of singing, but was just kind of trying to get it going. And, he was real shy about it. Like, didn't really think he was ready to go play gigs or anything, but we would encourage him and say like, man, you gotta play. And he ended up hooking up with another friend of ours named Eric Lambert, and who helped him kind of flesh his songs out and get out and play some gigs, and it led to him forming a band, which ended up being Nomad Planets. And man, we have a lot of appreciation and respect for those guys because they go out locally around Northwest Indiana and Chicagoland, and they play original music. They write and they record and they go out and play their songs for people, for anybody that'll listen, similar to the way that we started our band. And I just think, those guys are not spring chickens. None of us are these days at this point, but most guys that play gigs still at their age will just go to the corner bar and play cover tunes, a couple times a month. And those guys go looking for the venue to play, to present their original music. Their drummer, Terry, I think he told me he's going to be 76 years old this year.
And Terry's a killer drummer, man.
Yeah, man, he played in Big Guitars from Memphis, a touring band in the 80s and 90s, I guess, right,
Yeah.
Jeff?
Yeah, big guitars from Memphis. Yeah.
Yeah, and great drummer. And like you were saying earlier, Justin, we share a keyboard player with them. Our main man, Chris Grove, plays the keys with Nomad Planets and also contributes to our records. And you'll even catch him on stage with us when we can afford to bring him in their stage space. He's every time we want him with us, but it just depends on the show. But yeah, Chris Grove he's a busy guy between them guys and us and a bunch of his other gigs. He's always playing somewhere too.
They have a really, especially like you kind of bring up their age. You don't that their sound, like the type of music they play definitely doesn't quite jive with that for me. I almost feel like it's more of almost an 80s, maybe even some 90s.
Yeah,
they're really it's a very unique sound. Who are some bands that you would kind of compare them to?
well,
I think.
was,
Oh, good.
no, go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I think I mentioned to you before. There's I think those guys keep their pulse on modern music too. I don't think those guys are just sitting around listening to retro. I think they have a wide eclectic taste, old and new. But there's something in there that reminds me of Lou Reed, and I mean that as a compliment. I don't know what it is, if it's like certain vocal things or something. I always catch a Lou Reed vibe somewhere in there.
Yeah, and I thought they kind of had a Tragically Hip or REM thing going. Sometimes his voice even reminds me of like Warren Zevon or something. Definitely very
Original.
yeah, his own thing. And like you were saying, kind of 80s alternative, kind of 90s alternative, mixed with like Jeff's saying, like even like a Lou Reed New York kind of groove at times, like really original and cool. Great mix of sounds.
Yeah.
Definitely highly recommend checking those guys out. I'll talk a little bit more about those guys.
Yeah, their new record's really good.
Yeah,
really good,
no question.
Yeah.
Now, as far as your guys' performance that night at Leroy's, I guess any general thoughts on the show?
There was a crazy energy in there.
Yeah,
I don't mean that in a bad way. I think I mentioned to you before, Justin, that night even that we had some technical things going on stage, and nobody realized that at all. But we had a couple of guitar amps that were going up and down in volume, and like we came out of the first song and we didn't do a sound check, and I didn't realize how loud I was, and I just felt like I was like bam loud, and I'm like, well, I can't turn down now because we're doing two songs in a row. And then I was trying to mess with that, and then the bass pedal board went out, and then Eric's amp was going, but nobody caught any of that. And I think we just rocked through it. And by the fifth or sixth song in, we were hitting our stride, and none of those minor technical things really hampered the show at all. It ended up being a great night, I thought.
Yeah, it was loud in a weird way. Like Jeff said, we didn't have a sound check, and
great sound guy we had. It wasn't his fault.
No, Justin's great. Yeah, for sure. We also had a set list where a couple of different fans requested a bunch of songs we hadn't played in a few months even, and we thought, well, let's do no sound check and no rehearsal, and songs that maybe Chris has ever only played with us once, like a year ago or more, and let's just go. And it was kind of a crazy combination. And you throw in the fact that the Bears playoff game was that night, and people, place was packed, but of course, people were kind of on edge about like, are the Bears going to win? Like what time Steepwater playing, this and that, fourth quarter. It was just a crazy, weird night, but you're going to have those nights, and sometimes, like Jeff said, you power through it. And most of the time, even if you took yourself out of your comfort zone, most people don't even realize it because we're pros and we've been doing it a long time, and we know our material, and we know each other, and we even know the quirky things that can happen, and you just got to power through.
Right. And like you said, I certainly didn't notice anything major. I remember one time maybe uh Chris came in a little loud on the keys, and boom, sound guy had him turned down like that. So that night I didn't notice anything that really affected the quality of the show.
Yeah.
And then generally I do think that, like, that's sort of part of the experience of live music. You go to a show, sometimes things, and I've been to your guys' show before when certainly things have worse have happened than that. Like something like, I don't know. I remember a show one time maybe where something came loose on the drum, something I
Mm.
don't
Oh
remember
yeah,
exactly.
we've
But
had the drums fall apart a few times.
Yeah, I break things, man. I play really hard and I break things, and it's part of the hazards of the job. And we all of us have like lots of backup gear with us in the trailer. I try to keep backup stuff, but I break pedals, I break bass drum heads, I break cymbals, snare drum heads, and you know, it's just part of just going for it, like throwing caution to the wind and playing. I've had technical, like super techie drummers like come up to me and question my technique. Well, why do you feel you would break a bass drum beater? It's like, well, because the amps are ripping my head off and I'm kicking the shit out of my bass drum. That's probably why. Not anything to do with anybody's technique or any gear that's not up to snuff. It's just sometimes you're just going for it, and yes, sure, you got to be ready for anything. That's kind of what live is all about. Live is live, and that's the way that we always want to keep it.
Yep.
and some bands will handle it better than others. I mean, I know I've seen acts that kind of maybe go an extra mile to make up for something happens, but I've also heard some horror stories over the years too.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it's part of the deal. It's all good.
Joe, I think I remember one time you telling me a story of a show that you went to where
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I
that's
know this
right.
story.
Yeah, I went to see Tom Kiefer, the singer from Cinderella, at the Arcada Theater in St. Charles, Illinois. A room that I really like to go to shows at, and Steepwater's never played it. So if anybody knows Ron Onesti at the Arcada, somebody call us, Ron. We want to play the Arcada.
Yeah, great
Anyway,
venue, killer
yeah,
venue.
killer theater. But anyway, Tom Kiefer and his band came out, and it was so ridiculously loud. And we were kind of looking at each other, my wife and I, like, man, is it really, really crazy loud? And no sooner did we start to think that the PA blew up, and he pulled the band off the stage, and they were gone for a good 25, 30 minutes. And he brought the band back out. They said they had it fixed. He got about another song and a half into it, and he blew the PA up again. The sound went completely out. He pulled the band off the stage a second time, and at that point, just for his set, we had been there for probably 45, 50 minutes and heard about a song and a half, two songs, and we just thought, well, maybe it wasn't meant to be, but we just took off and got in the car and left. We were with some friends, and they were, you're gonna leave? And we're like, well, yeah. I mean, is he gonna play? Is he gonna blow the place up? Is the ceiling gonna fall in? I don't know, but sometimes bands, just have no control with their volume and their sound people, and that was
That might
one of
not have
those nights.
That might not have been the band too. You never know what's going on.
Sure. Well, I think
Yeah.
we were sitting by the soundboard, and I think that the guy running front of house was really pushing. I mean, he was overdriving everything, and it was almost like distorted loud, and I
Yeah.
think he blew the PA up. But
Yeah.
to do it twice, I mean, you do it once, pull the faders back a little bit, do something. You know what I mean? Like to blow it up twice, that's a little crazy. But yeah, it happens. I've seen it.
Yep.
We've talked quite a bit, guys, about Chris Grove and kind of just how great he is. What does he bring to your sound? And also, if you guys don't mind, what is your history with him?
Well, Chris is I mean, we've known each other for years. I've been playing gigs with Chris for a long time. But it wasn't always Steepwater, and I still play things out, other gigs with Chris. I think a friendship just developed from the local scene here in Chicago and Northwest Indiana, and we got to know each other. One thing led to another, and we started. If I don't remember exact history with it, but we've started inviting him out to play on recordings, I think, and then eventually that mutated into playing on live shows whenever we can. Like Joe said, he's not there all the time, but when we play locally, we have him. We like to have him there, and it's just we've known each other for years. And he was always on the road with Eddie Money, so he had a pretty full-time gig. And of course, Eddie Money passing away a few years back. Chris is just around more now, and we snag him when we can. And he's played on the last two records, and he's played on the new record. And when we have him there live, it's I mean, I have nothing. I have no issues playing as a four-piece, but when Chris is there, it just adds a whole nother bed of sound and dimension. And he's such an unselfish player. He's never looking to like get up there and wank off on a bunch of notes. He's content with just sitting back there and laying a bed. But I mean, he will when you point at him, take one. He can rip on with the best of them. But it's really a full. I mean, you have the Hammond organ sound, the piano sound, whirly sounds. It's really a full plethora of keyboard sounds, and that's why rock and roll bands have keyboard players. It expands the sound, And he's a great player.
Yeah, I really like playing with Chris too. I, the percussiveness, like just being able to visual and the way that he attacks the keyboard, like in a percussive manner, really helps me like link, like it's like the glue that the rhythm can lock into, and I feel like the whole groove that we create between Chris and I and the percussiveness of it helps me, I think, just lay it down even thicker. And I really enjoy being able to play with him like that. And again, both the sound and the visual, like I can almost watch his hands as like a metronome, like a meter guide. And I love that about playing with him, man. It's like he just lays it thick, man, just like pounds it. And I love being able to play to that and like lock into that. It's very cool.
For sure, yeah.
So
Agreed.
it's very cool to hear that he's going to be on the new album. So let's talk a little bit about that new music coming in 2026. We had the single in 2025, but
Right.
This is the year we're going to have the full album.
Yes. Yeah, we're actually, Joe and I are going over to Tony Mack, our friend who engineered and did some producing on the record at his studio. And we're going over there next week to like just put the final touches on the mix and then send it off to mastering. We're trying to get the artwork together now and figure out a release date. There's cool songs on there, and we've been holding back on playing them, and I'm really excited to not hold back on playing them anymore. It's going to be great to have I mean, we already have a ton of songs, but it's going to be great to have a whole new batch of songs because I think all of them are going to be songs that we're going to want to play live.
Very cool.
I don't hear anything on there that I'm thinking, well, we probably won't do that one. I'm thinking they'll all be good live cuts.
I agree. Yeah, we're super excited about it. And, hold on, my phone's freezing up. You got me?
Yeah, you're good.
You're good on this end.
I think my battery's low. It was telling me to go to low power mode. Anyway, It was kind of slow going because everyone had schedules. Tony, who engineered and produced it, he was busy playing gigs and touring a bit himself, and then we had gigs in 25. We were busy. We went to Europe, we went to Florida, we went to the East Coast, we had festivals, we had a lot going on. So it was we had to kind of we hate when we have to do that, but we had to kind of piecemeal it. Like we did a few different weekend sessions where anytime there was a window, we went to the studio and tracked stuff. And it's finally just about in the can. I mean, the recording process is done. Like Jeff said, the final mix will we'll put it to bed at the end of the month, and it'll go to mastering. And we just got to get all the artwork and all that stuff in motion. But we're hoping summertime.
Very cool. Can't wait. It'll be. There's got to be a lot of work that goes into then preparing to play all that music live too, though. That has to be a whole another.
Well, it's weird. You have to like relearn it. It's like, to me, it's a new record. Nobody's heard it, but there's already old new songs and there's new songs to me, because some of the first ones we recorded, I remember we were messing around with them at sound checks, and now I'm like, wow, we still haven't played that song live. So that's an old new one to me. And then we have other we
Yeah.
have other ones that came out, way later that are new ones, but they're going to be new to everybody that comes out. But yeah, just the anticipation of playing them live. I think it's going to be give us a burst. Anytime a band puts out a new record and they're excited about it, gives them that extra burst of energy. Want to get out there and play them.
Now, before we wrap up here, and I hope to have you guys on again in the future on the podcast, because this was a lot of fun. But
Yeah.
I did want to talk to you guys about a band that I know we all appreciate, the Black Crowes, and they have released two new songs here in the last couple of weeks, and just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on them.
I like the two new songs. I like them a lot. I love the guitar tones. I like the arrangement of the tunes. I like all the tones on it. It sounds like the Black Crowes to me. I mean, Chris's voice sounds great. The lyrics are cool, especially the guitar. Though the guitar tones on that's both songs, but that second one, I don't know the titles. That's how new they are to me.
I heard Pharmacy is what I call the second one. Prophecies and Pharmacy.
To me that was more, that had a classic Crowes thing going on with it, and I know that band's changed a lot and their fans are super finicky, and for all I know, maybe Rich Robinson played all the bass on it. I don't know what's going on with that camp right now as far as that. But long story short, I like the two new songs.
Yeah, I'm digging them more than I thought I would, and more than what I heard of that last record. I think the drums sound way more organic and groovy, and I'm assuming that's the guy that they got playing live. Now there again, like Jeff said, who knows? Maybe Rich Robinson played all the guitar, bass, and the drums. I don't know him to be a drummer, but who knows with those guys what they're doing. But
well, I just know there's been a shakeup in the bass camp from what we're hearing, so I don't know if Sven played on the record but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying is, like, we're hearing all kinds of stories that maybe some of the band didn't even play on it. I'm not sure, but I do like the tunes. Like Jeff said, the vocals sound great, and but I hate to be a downer. There's always something to be a downer about, but man, I caught that new video and did not dig it at all. So
I kind of like the video.
You liked it, man, not me.
It reminds me of a low budget weird 60s B horror movie or something.
Super low budget and weird, but I'm not in a good way for me.
I liked it.
I don't know.
All
Justin,
right.
what about you,
we
man?
disagree on this one.
So, the songs have grown on me a little bit, especially I like the Pharmacy song. The more, I guess, country type sounding song is enjoyable to me. I really like that one, actually. The Prophecy song, I really did not like when I first heard it. It's grown on me some, and it's funny that you mentioned the video, because for whatever reason, the video kind of made me like it a little bit more. And I did like the video, especially here's the two things I like the most at the end where they cut Chris's head off
Yeah,
on the
right.
guillotine. Just watch Rich
I
during that
know.
whole time. And it's hilarious. Also,
He looks very happy.
just the look of glee on his face. I've never seen him look so happy. And then also there's a part where he's like stirring a cauldron, Riches, and just watching him in it is just like the discomfort, but he's like going along. Just I mean, those little things are kind of cracking me up about it, but I kind of thought it was fun. It was, it was silly, kind of. I think Chris is kind of I think he's sort of a cinema guy, you know what I'm saying? So I think he's having a little fun with it. I think it went along with the song.
I'm sure there's some influence from some Rosemary's Baby type 60s movies or something going on in there that they got some ideas from. There's something cool about it that I like.
No doubt. It's hey, we how many 6 years ago we would never thought we would have had 2 new albums, new music from the Black Crowes. So hey, I think if you're a fan of the band, this is a good thing.
And it's cool they're making records, like, not to rip on Guns N' Roses or anything, but Guns N' Roses tours, they don't make any records anymore. It's just like they're like, it's cool that the Crowes don't really rest on laurels. I mean, sure, when they got back together, they were, celebrating Shake Your Money Maker, but they have every right to do that. It's their record. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they don't just play the radio songs when you go to see them. They still, to this day, mix up their sets and move forward. That's cool. A lot of bands don't do that. A lot of bands just rest on laurels, play the same shit every night, and they're not doing that. So that's cool.
Yeah, one time I was talking to Rich Robinson. We opened for him when he was playing with Hooker Brown, or it was either Hooker Brown or a Rich Robinson solo show. And we opened for him at the Double Door, and we were talking, and this kind of applies to today still, but at the time, his brother Chris was doing New Earth Mud, and Rich was doing solo stuff. I think he either just finished, gotten done with Hooker Brown, or was doing solo. I don't know, but we were talking about the situation with him and Chris being split up, and I said something, and to this day I couldn't believe I said it to him, but I said, man, being a Crowes fan is kind of like being a Cubs fan. You like them even when they suck, and Rich kind of just laughed. He kind of giggled and laughed at me, like assuming that I was talking about his brother's music at the time, I guess, and I just kind of meant, like, if you're a fan, you're a fan. It is what it is. And I kind of feel the same way. I didn't get super excited about that last record, but there's at least some stuff to like about it. And I feel that way about these new ones too.
And I'm a huge New Earth Mud fan, so I wouldn't have took it that way.
Oh yeah, no, and I like New Earth Mud too.
No, Rich Robinson laughed when you said that to him, though.
He totally did, and it was super silly. I couldn't believe I said it.
I think the point being, even when they're not at their best, they're still one of the greatest rock and roll bands in history. And
yeah, for sure.
There's always something to offer there.
Right. It's just the potential of the highs they reached, it just was one of those things where it always makes you kind of go, I wish it was still this or that. But, things are never going to always stay the same. And
things don't work like that. Life don't work like that.
No,
that's right. That's right.
It's moments in time.
Hey guys, much appreciated. I'm going to let you go. I will talk to you guys soon.
All right, man. Thanks for having us, Justin.
Yeah, Justin, thanks, and good luck with the podcast. And thanks for all the write-ups and everything you've been doing for the music scene in Illinois and beyond. Really appreciate it.
Man, it's so fun talking to those guys, and really, honestly, that's sort of like every post show. That's about what it looks like. So, it's funny. I actually met. This is one thing I like about podcasting. I can kind of go on a little side rant, and it's not like when you're writing, it's not like that. You got to keep it really. You got to keep it tight. Podcasts are a little looser. I like that. I met Joe through the State of America podcast. Actually, I'm a patron member of State of America, and they had a little thing one time where you could come on an episode. They were recording an episode where they were talking to Joe about Steve Gorman, the Black Crowes drummer. Kind of, Joe's a big fan of Steve, and Joe came on and was talking. We were all kind of in the background, a few of us, and at the end they let us ask some questions to Joe, and I was talking Steepwater a little bit with him, and it was we were vibing a little bit. I thought, oh, this is good. So I don't know. I was honestly a little inspired that night. Like, I can do this. I've interviewed, I've interviewed people my whole life in my real career as in sports as a sports journalist. And so I thought, well, I don't know. I didn't really necessarily put together at that point, okay, I'm going to start a Illinois Drift, nothing like that. But I did sort of, something clicked with me a little bit that night. I definitely. And then I decided to go see them in Indy a couple months after that. And I kind of tracked down Joe after the show, and I was like, hey, you remember me from the podcast? And he did. And so that was, kind of from there, I would keep going to the shows and actually have done some other podcast stuff with them. I'll try to link anything I've done podcast wise with those guys in the notes, mostly State of America stuff. I don't, some of it's patron stuff I probably won't be able to link, but if it's open stuff, I'll definitely link it. But yeah, in general, just a lot of fun, a great group of guys to follow. Not only great musicians, but all four of those guys. I'll spend some time talking to them after the show, and just kind of made separate friendships with each of them, which is pretty cool. Then so that night, we'll go back to the show a little bit. That night at Leroy's in Porter, there, I went to the show with my daughter Delaney and her boyfriend Michael. Delaney she's 21 now. She's about 21 and a half, actually. So it's kind of, entering a new era of hanging out with your child, as an adult, which is, pretty neat thing. So we had a great time. It's really, I really appreciate those guys, wanting to, kind of pal along with me on the trip. And, honestly, it really made it even that much more fun. I think they enjoyed it. Delaney got up and danced with me a little bit in the show. One thing that we were really impressed with, we talked a lot about this, was the service at Leroy's. Just in general, that place is, I really can't say enough about how cool that place is. But like I was saying, the service at Leroy's, our drink would be even getting close to, to empty, and the guy would be, you ready for another one? You ready for another one? Just really friendly, attentive, great prices, and the food was really good. Had some good Mexican food, and pretty much in your bar food, regular bar type food too. Really liked it. Also, it's a great venue as far as lots of parking, lots of room inside and out. And the crowd was really great. Up at, like I think we talked about during the interview, up and dancing, and really just a really cool place. If you ever get a chance to go to Leroy's, I really highly recommend going there. I would love to go back there sometime. As far as the Steepwater band goes, they will be out on tour as always. They have always have lots of shows upcoming. You can pretty much find anything you need to know as far as that goes at steepwaterband.com. Nomad Planets as well is nomadplanets.com. They play out around the area quite a bit. So definitely, if you get a chance to check those guys out, do that. Plenty more to come from the Illinois Drifter podcast. We'll be doing lots of show reviews and way more interviews. I have lots of things planned. So can't wait to get back on here and bring that to you. So I'll talk to you soon, and thanks for listening.